Look, let's just get right into it. You work late, you deliver flawless results. You probably know your job, honestly, better than anyone else in the room. You put in the grind day after day, expecting it to finally pay off. But here is the really uncomfortable truth that nobody in your office is ever going to tell you. Intelligence and hard work alone, they do not equal advancement in the corporate world. Welcome to this Corporate Gyan Explainer, where we are going to break down exactly why this happens and, more importantly, how you can change it.
Ask yourself honestly for a second. Have you ever watched someone else get promoted even though you worked way later and delivered much better results? Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, if you've experienced this, it's not because your work isn't good enough. It's actually because you might just be playing the corporate game completely wrong.
And that leads us to a massive paradigm shift. Listen to this. Intelligence and hard work alone are not the currency of corporate advancement. In fact, for a lot of really smart professionals, those exact strengths literally turn into invisible traps. See, smart employees often optimize for depth. They get lost in the weeds and the details, while leaders optimize for breadth. And that gap right there is exactly where careers stall out.
So here's our roadmap for the next 10 minutes. We'll cover 1. The uncomfortable corporate truth, 2. The invisible traps keeping smart people stuck, 3. The PRISM framework, and 4. Your visibility action plan.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the uncomfortable corporate truth about why careers actually stall.
Get this. According to a Harvard Business Review study, 58% of managers never receive any training on how to evaluate promotion readiness. I mean, think about that for a second. More than half. This means the vast majority of promotion decisions are not merit-based at all. They're based on gut feel. Leaders promote who they trust, who they like, and frankly, who they remember.
There is such a sharp contrast here between myth and reality. The myth we all grew up with is that hard work gets noticed automatically, right? The best performer gets promoted and loyalty gets rewarded. But the reality? Visibility matters so much more than effort alone. The most promotable person gets the job, not necessarily the absolute best executor. Strategic relationships completely win over tenure. Just keeping your head down and working hard doesn't show dedication, it just makes you invisible.
Moving right along to Section 2, the invisible traps. These are the specific things keeping smart people stuck.
High performers unknowingly fall into these 5 traps all the time. First, there's the competence trap. You are just simply too good at your current job, which makes you completely indispensable right where you are. Second, the lone genius trap. You solve problems all by yourself instead of multiplying the efforts of others. Third, the waiting trap. You just sit there expecting your results to magically speak for themselves. Fourth, the head-down trap. You focus only on execution and totally ignore visibility. And finally, the technical trap. You speak in data and details when leaders are actually looking for outcomes and narratives. Let's ground this at a real story. Meet Priya and James. They're both analysts. Priya was the brilliant wallflower. She was a top performer, error-free work, worked late every single Friday, but she never spoke up in leadership meetings. After 4 years, still an analyst. Now James was the strategic connector. His performance was good, sure, but not exceptional. However, James sent weekly summary emails to his director and actively made sure his manager looked great in board presentations. Well, James got promoted in 18 months. When Priya asked HR why, they told her, "We didn't know you wanted to be promoted. James always made sure we knew." And we see this exact concept play out at the absolute highest levels of business. When Satya Nadella became CEO of Microsoft, he wasn't the loudest voice in the room or the most aggressive dealmaker. His secret was combining deep technical mastery with an extraordinary ability to communicate a vision, build coalitions, and truly inspire trust. As he famously says, the learn-it-all will always do better than the know-it-all. He didn't just want to be the smartest engineer, he became the most trusted leader.
Which brings us to the biggest excuse really smart people use. You've probably said it. I don't do office politics. You might think this makes you principled, but we need to reframe this right now. Office politics isn't about sleazy manipulation. It is the mandatory building of strategic relationships, influence, and trust. Every single organization runs on informal networks. Refusing to participate doesn't make you noble, it literally just guarantees you'll become invisible. Actually, relying solely on your output can backfire completely. Internal research from IBM identified what they call the brilliant jerk problem. These are high IQ employees who are dismissive and fail to advance past mid-level roles, totally regardless of their incredible output. IBM found that when they tracked collaboration scores, people who scored high on interpersonal effectiveness got promoted 2.4 times faster than pure technical stars.
So yeah, your ability to work through people matters way more than your ability to just work harder than them.
Okay, let's jump into Section 3, the PRISM framework. This is how you make your value undeniable.
We call this the PRISM framework. Look, most competent employees have maybe one or two of these elements down, but truly promotable professionals, they intentionally build all five. P is for perception, meaning how others see you. R is relationships, who you know and trust. I is impact, focusing on the results that actually matter. S is storytelling, how you communicate your value. And M is managing up, which is essentially making your boss successful. Let's drill down into a couple of these.
So an absolutely crucial point under relationships is finding a sponsor. A mentor is great, they give you advice, but a sponsor? That's a senior leader who actively advocates for your promotion in closed-door leadership meetings. They're your champion. According to McKinsey data, employees who actively seek a sponsor are 65% more likely to be promoted within 18 months than those who just sit back and rely on performance reviews. You absolutely need someone speaking your name in the rooms that you aren't in.
Next up is impact. You've got to make the critical shift from working hard to working visibly. Do not confuse effort, which is really just logging hours, with impact, which is actually solving business problems. Before presenting any work to leadership, you've got to run it through the "so what" test. So what does this mean for the business? Honestly, if you can't answer that, your work just isn't ready for senior eyes.
And when you do finally present those results, you need storytelling. Research from Stanford University shows that stories are 22 times more memorable than facts alone. Spreadsheets do not get you promoted, conversations do. So use the STAR-P formula. Clearly state the situation, the task at hand, the specific action you took, the measurable result, and here's the kicker, the potential. What does this outcome reveal about your readiness for the next level?
All right, Section 4, your visibility action plan. Let's talk about actionable micro moves.
These 3 daily and weekly moves will instantly elevate your perceived seniority. First, speak first in meetings. Make a substantive contribution in the first 10 minutes. Research actually shows early speakers are perceived as more senior. Second, the Monday memo. Send a quick 3-bullet email to your boss every single week detailing what you achieved, what you're focusing on, and where you need clarity. And third, the 5-minute senior coffee. Once a quarter, ask a senior leader for a quick chat to ask about their priorities and share a quick insight. You're essentially building your own informal promotion board.
Now you need to start doing this today because of a massive industry secret. The hidden decision. Promotion decisions are usually made 6 to 12 months before they're ever actually announced. By the time the list is out, the conversation already happened, without you. Companies use Talent Review 9-box grids to map your performance against your potential. You need to actively own your career conversation. Go ask your manager today exactly where you sit on that grid and what it takes to move up, rather than just waiting around to be noticed.
And as you start having those conversations, remember the key components of executive presence. Based on data from the Center for Talent Innovation, it is not just about looking the part. Appearance is actually a pretty small piece. Communication definitely matters, but a massive 67% of executive presence is gravitas. That's your composure under pressure, your confidence, and your decisiveness. Cultivate gravitas, and leadership will naturally start to see you as one of their own. To sum this all up, the view from the top requires a totally new perspective on your career. Your technical skills, your intelligence, your hard work, those are fantastic. Really, they are what got you hired in the first place. But visibility, strategic impact, and strong relationships, those are exactly what will get you promoted. You have got to step out of the shadows and make absolutely sure your value is undeniably visible to the entire organization. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. Are you going to remain the smartest person in the room, or will you choose to become the most promotable? The choice is entirely in your hands. If you found this Corporate Gyan explainer valuable today, make sure to hit subscribe and visit corporategyan.com for more practical tools, frameworks, and insights. We're here to help you accelerate your professional growth, build your leadership skills, and master the business strategies that actually move the needle. Thanks so much for watching, and go take action on your career today.